tip that I'd have for people, especially home cooks, when you buy pork, buy it like a day or two before you want to use it, and then just let it dry out a little bit, because you get so much of a nicer flavour if it's drier, especially with the skin.
This is The Crackling. I'm Anthony Huckstep. It's very exciting to be back in my old hood at Bloodwood with Claire Van Vuuren. How are you?
I'm good. It's really nice to see you in person. We've only chatted on the phone all the way since COVID. It feels like years.
I know, it does, and you still look as young as ever.
It's the fryer oil. It keeps a chef young.
Just before we started, I found out Bloodwood, 15 years. That is absolutely extraordinary. How does that feel?
It's kind of amazing. I never thought when we opened it that I'd still be here 15 years later. But yeah, it just sort of rolls on. Each year's a new year and you get a new team, new people. It feels fresh. It's kind of, I always said I'd keep doing it until it got boring, and I haven't reached that point yet. So that's good. You're
kind of the original path carver of Newtown in that sort of elevated eating experience. How does that feel, and how much has the neighbourhood changed in that time?
It's phenomenal how much Newtown's changed. Like, it's got a crazy, excellent dining scene now. You see all of the fantastic catered restaurants and bars and clubs and everything. Like, it's just full of a whole different bunch of people. When we first opened, there was nothing of this, no restaurant similar to this. And now there's just a million excellent restaurants. You don't have to walk very far. You can just really do a food crawl through the town, up Enmore Road, down King Street, and they just keep coming. So it's good to see.
As an owner-operator that's been here for 15 years, how different is it for you as an operator now, and sort of working in this neighbourhood and running a restaurant compared to when you first started?
I think things happen a lot quicker now. About 10 years ago, things were slower. It was a more sense of a community where you'd know a restaurant was opening, you'd meet them face to face, you'd have a chat, they'd come and talk about things. But restaurants fit out quicker. Everyone's under pressure. There seems like there's, not infinite time. It's all sped up, so it feels like it happens. Things move in and out quicker. There's a lot of changes on the streets. It just happens really quickly. Instagram accounts pop up, new restaurants open, old restaurants shut. It just seems to be churning a bit quicker.
Yeah, you have a very unique voice on the plate, and you've become renowned for that with Bloodwood. Over the years, you've done all sorts of amazing pork dishes. How do you find that it weaves through the menu?
I think my philosophy with all food, and also mainly with pork, is that I try and do cuts that people are familiar with, or things that you just take something that they can buy in an everyday shop, like down at the supermarket, and then do something with it that they're not really, they think, wow, what have you done with this? So I think you use your chefy skills to elevate a pretty basic cut of meat into something that's quite unique, and there's always a sense of familiarity in everything that I cook. I find that my customers can relate to that, and I like to cook things that have, I like to weave other staff that are here, their cultural influences in it, my cultural influences. For example, I love porchetta, I love it, and completely fill it with whatever you want. So we filled it most recently with Shanghai sausage, stuffed it in the middle, and it was the most amazing thing that you've ever eaten. This crunchy pork filled with this really intense garlicky stuffing of pork inside, and it's just pork can really do anything that you want it to do as a chef. So it's a very fun product to play with.
Tell us a little bit more about reaching into the cultural heritage of the staff, and what's it like for you and for them? Do they feel more part of the team? What happens when that?
Well, my main thing is that I want everyone to get involved. I feel happy team keeps everyone here for longer. And I really like to develop the skills of my chef. So we've got a very small kitchen. We don't take ourselves too seriously. So whenever I have someone new join the team, my whole aim is to get them to a point where they feel comfortable to be able to start constructing dishes, because that's the whole aim of a chef, and to be confident enough to play around with flavours and experiment a little, because it's in the errors that you find those really aha moments, that how did I do that? And then you try and remember and replicate it again. So it's just sort of encouraging junior chefs and people who haven't had so much experience to get to the point where they can weave. And I find the easiest way to do that is to delve into their culture. So you tap into, well, show me what your mum used to do. Like you know how to do this flavour. Like let's build it up from that. So that's always my starting point with young chefs, is to get them to go back to things that they know, and then they're really very, very proud of it. So it's an exciting thing to do.
You mentioned the porchetta, which is also one of my favourite things ever. It's absolutely delicious. But is there a cut of pork that you really love and a way that you prefer to cook it?
I think the neck is my favourite bit, just for its versatility, and I love a bit of pork fat. So, you know, the belly's also, like, everyone loves that, but they're a bit scared of how much fat's on there. But for me, it's just the neck, because you can braise it, you can barbecue it, you can just flatten it down, you can make schnitzel's, you can do, like, for me, I find that such and it's so affordable. Like, as a chef, you get really great markups on using cuts that are, like, that's important as a business owner as well.
Tell us a little bit about the pork dish that you're going to cook a little bit later.
Okay, so the one that I'm doing is currently on our menu. So I take just a standard pork belly, braise it down with curry leaves and chilli. I take it out of the braise, press it overnight, and then I shave it on the meat slicer into little fine ribbons, and then I thread it onto a skewer, make a really sticky sauce, so baste it in that, and then I throw it onto hot coals, and you get these little crackling pops of all of the charcoal. You know, it's all those little black bits in between each bit, and the pork's really tender. And then I just serve it on a flatbread with chili sauce and pickles. So that's kind of the way that I like to eat these days. I feel like I've simplified my cooking way down, where I just feel like everything needs to be yummy. I don't really care about much else in food anymore, other than it just has to taste really delicious. That
restraint is often a sign of maturity in cooking. Do you try and instill that in your young chefs, to try and catch on to that early, that how important that is on the plate?
I think so, but it's hard to instill, because when you're young, you're trying to show off and you're trying to do everything that you know, all the techniques, all the flavours, and you try and put it all into one dish. And I think with age comes a little bit of security and comfort in knowing what you are, and just saying, hang on, this is actually just good with that. Like, I don't need to try and put native ingredients in it. I don't need to try and put like all these another 15 elements or garnishes all over it, because it's just yummy like that. Like, so I think it's just that, it's like also when you're in your mid-40s, you're just comfortable to just wear whatever you want and you stop caring.
Totally. Pork is quite versatile, as you mentioned just before, but is there a tip or a trick that you have that sort of works with a particular cut or with pork?
I think the number one tip that I'd have for people, especially home cooks, when you buy pork, is buy it like a day or two before you want to use it, and then just let it dry out a little bit, because you get so much of a nicer flavour if it's drier, especially with the skin. Like, that's the number one tip, because people often think fresh is best, but sometimes, you know, a few days old of just sitting in the fridge where it's dried out, you're going to have so much of a better chance cooking it. So don't be afraid to let products sit for a bit before you cook them.
At the top of the show, we mentioned that, like, 15 years, absolutely extraordinary. It's actually quite rare for restaurants to last that long. Not many do that. Do you have any advice for, you know, someone who's starting a business or has been a few years in with a business? What to last that long in this game? What do you need to do?
I think the number one thing is to listen to your customer base, like, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to keep you there. So it's not about your ego; it's about returning customers. And one of the main reasons why I'm still here 15 years later is because you develop a relationship with them. I listen to them, take their feedback on, you know, and I also create dishes that are just, you know, not too rich to come back regularly and eat them, not too expensive that they can't come back often. So it's just got to be sort of find a sweet spot of having customers that are willing to return and they can give you feedback. It's also having staff that feel like they've got input and ownership into the venue, which is also really important. So especially every manager that's been through has left their impact. Every head chef that I've had has left their impact. So it's just really listening and being open and absorbing everything that's around you, because it's quite fun when you do that.
Mentorship has been a real key feature of your life in the last 5 years or even more. Tell us a little bit about that and the impact that it has, but also how does it make you feel when you're trying to get the best out of the next generation?
Mentorship is something that I'm very proud to be part of. I think it's grown and grown, and I've become more confident in being a mentor, because I think you've just got to sort of slow it all down, listen to your mentee, understand what they're trying to do. I quite enjoy mentoring young people, like especially as they're just in TAFE stage or as they're at the beginning of their career, because sometimes they've just got no idea of what they want to do and they're going too fast. Like they're just trying to be, you ask them a question, what do you want to be? They want to be the world's best chef. And I was like, okay, let's slow it down. Like there's stages to this. Like you got to start eating out is my number one thing, and you got to read cookbooks, and you just got to make food part of your everyday life, and eventually you're going to end up in the right kitchens with the right people who'll guide you through, because there's some very horrible people to work for, and then there's some amazing people who will really nurture. So always my advice is to try and guide them to end up with really good people, because the hospitality industry is mostly about who you know and who you're chatting to, and talent's in there, but hard work's the main thing, and who you know is a second bit, because it's a lot of chit chat. So yeah, it's a fun industry. It's very rewarding, and I think if you're a young kid just starting out, there's just so many opportunities for you. So yeah.
You're still quite young. You're only in your 40s, but Bloodwood is really an institution for Newtown. It's quite extraordinary. What do you love about what you've created here and what you still do?
I think it's pretty special, Bloodwood. I know I'm biased, but I still love sitting in the front bar and watching the sun stream through, having a drink, just watching the crowd of people. There's still a vibrancy to it. It doesn't feel stale and it doesn't feel artificial. And I always say, the menu's just on a piece of paper. We can do whatever we want. We're not beholden to any sort of anything at all. We can rip it all up and start fresh the next day. So it's kind of, that's having no pressure and being completely independent is really the main joy of it, that you can just wake up and decide, hang on, I want to just change all of these dishes today. I don't feel like doing them anymore. That's fun as a chef, and having your chef team know that they can just say, hey, I want to put on this dish this week. Is that okay? I'm like, of course, that's amazing. So I think it's just those small things that make each day not Groundhog Day, because you can just change it all up. And also we're a little family here. It's a very small restaurant, small team. So you get, and for some reason I'm super lucky, we only have really nice people work here, which is great. So you enjoy working with it, everyone becomes friends. So it's kind of a nice environment to be in.
Oh, I can't imagine Newtown without Bloodwood. It's extraordinary what you've done here. Always a pleasure to catch up. Can't wait to see what you cook in a sec.
Yeah.
But we'll have to catch up again soon.
Yeah, it's nice to chat. Thanks, Anthony.
This is The Crackling, a Deep in the Weeds production in partnership with PorkStar. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we catch up with some of Australia's best chefs and pork producers to discover what makes Australian pork so special.